way if I don't get my money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which means he'll tell the Mannings that he's still alive, and then the Mannings will turn loose on Harry. And that's something that he doesn't want, because it means that he basically has to look over his shoulder all the time. Or disappear for real.
Viola Davis tends to be kind of depicted as this, like, very... She has this sort of presence about her, right? This very, like, strong but very eloquent type of person. But they actually kind of, not necessarily strip her down as in she's naked, but they put her in this, you know, wife beater. And they show a very powerful, a very strong, a very kind of, like, athletically built black woman. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was fucking fantastic. It's fantastic.
That's my word.
I know.
Use that.
Every time that he says fantastic, somebody has to take a shot. That was very fucking awesome to me, because you don't see that very often. Like, these stereotypes about movies and these stereotypes about who gets shot first, or, you know, the very obvious role of who's going to go down first, and that doesn't necessarily happen with either Viola Davis or with Belle. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was very fucking important. Exactly.
Well, too, like...
They don't necessarily try to, you know, do too much makeup. They don't try to do too much with the costume. They just kind of put them as strong, powerful black women. Which is very fucking important.
Especially Viola Davis having her natural hair.
Exactly.
Through the whole thing.
Exactly.
No wigs, nothing like that. Mm-mm. Yeah, I agree.
I really like how she brings the other two women in, says, this is what we're going to do. And they say, well, you know, why you? Why are you the one in charge? And she says, I'm the one that's standing between you and the bullet. Either you do what I say, how I say, or, you know, you take your chances.
Basically, if they say that they're not going to help, she's going to give their names to the Mannings, right? It's implied in the sauna. Yeah.
And I like that she takes charge and is basically the one that's setting up every single step of the heist. And not just setting it up, but also what's really cool is the scene where they have all the Tupperware. And she's loading it up with the sand and putting it in the bags and saying, this is what, you know, however much money, $1 million feels like if it's all in 20s or 50s or hundreds, whatever it is. Feel the weight, get used to it.
So she makes them run back and forth.
Yeah, it makes them practice. It's reminds me of that scene in Tenet where they're talking about ripping off the Freeport, but that you need to hold your breath for a certain amount of time because of the gas, the halon gas that's going to come in. Mm-hmm. And you see both Pattinson and John David Washington holding their breath and practicing as they're moving back and forth, carrying these things, trying to figure out what's the best way for me to hold my breath for this amount of time while I'm exerting myself doing all this. And that's what that scene reminds me of, is the planning that goes into, this is what the weight is going to feel like. You need to get used to it. You need to be able to handle it, because we're going to be just in case. This is going to make us a stronger crew. We're not going to show up like a bunch of fucking amateurs and mess things up, or, like Susie said, you know, get killed or fuck this up and lose the money. And that's why when Kaluuya shows up at the end, I don't think that it's necessarily that they expected that to happen. It's just, we did all of this. This is our money. We're not just going to let you come in and take it from us and then, you know, we're just going to let that happen. They had fought to not necessarily stay alive, but to not end up dead by planning and pulling off this heist. And, you know, we are the ones that kind of went through every single step of it. And that's why they don't want Kaluuya taking it, and that's why she doesn't want Harry taking it at the end either. Beyond all the obvious.
What's stupid about Kaluuya's character doing that to them is that they would have gotten their money back, right? She would have paid them the $2 million that they owed, because that was the plan, is to pay them the $2 million and then split up the rest of it between them, right? Mm-hmm.
I also like how this movie gets into, it's not just a heist movie, it's also kind of about politics.
Yeah. Yeah, like a political thriller as well.
Yeah, because there's the whole, alderman election between Mulligan and Manning. There's that great scene where you see him, kind of propping up the business initiative for the black women in the city. You see him give that speech, and he's in kind of a rundown part of the city, and then he gets in the car, and the camera just stays on the car the entire ride, and it's only like, a mile or so that they drive, and they go from kind of a rundown part of the city to a very nice part of the city, townhouses and everything with...
And one tracking shot.
And one tracking shot that's maybe a minute or two long.
Yeah.
So you kind of see the disparity.
Yeah, it's saying a lot without beating you over the head with it.
It I know you two have never seen The Wire.
I've seen episodes here and there, just not straight through.
It's not straight
but
through.
I plan on doing it though.
The third season of The Wire starts getting into not just like the crime aspect, but also the city politics aspect, and this movie reminded me a lot of The Wire, like third season on, where it's not just the crime movie, it's also having a lot to do with like city politics and everything, and this is what this film reminds me of. Check out The Wire. Fucking great show.
Maybe that's why you appreciate this so much, because it reminds you of something that you love already.
And yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Do you guys have a soft spot for any of his, or I should say, Chris? Do you like any of McQueen's other works?
I'll tell you a secret. The only other movie of his I've seen is Shame.
So, booyah, you can ask both of us that question.
You never watched 12 Years a Slave?
No, I've seen parts of it. I ran it as a test run for the San Diego Film Festival. The parts I saw were pretty harrowing. The thing that turned me off, I still want to watch the movie, but the thing that turned me off to it was after I had run it, one of the studio execs was like, "Oh, so what do you think? Do we have an Oscar winner on our hands?" And it really just bummed me out, because I was like, wow, like, did you literally just make this movie to win an award and not tell this incredible story? So that question and that attitude that the guy had really put me off to it. I'm not saying that it's not a great movie. Like I said, what I saw of it was very harrowing. And Chiwetel Ejiofor is fantastic, as is Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know, it was just the way that guy asked that question and it came off to me. It made it seem very much like he didn't really give a shit about telling a good story.
Did he say that like in a Q&A or something?
No, he like said it to me after I ran the test run for him.
So he said it to you.
Yeah, and I came down to check, is everything okay? Picture, sound, is there anything that needs to be bumped up or whatever? And he's like, oh yeah, so what do you think? Do we have an Oscar winner on our hands? So I was very meh after that. I do want to watch the movie. I think it's set up on my DVR right now.
Yeah, it's on HBO.
Yeah, it's running on HBO.
It's a hard watch.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, it was very harrowing what I saw of it when I did the test run, but I haven't seen it all the way through. But the only other movie of his I have seen was Shame. I haven't seen Hunger. I didn't watch any of the Small Axe movies. I haven't seen any of those yet. But yes, I do want to check out his other movies.
For Gillian Flynn, she wrote Gone Girl, the book, and then
I think she adapted the screenplay too.
Yeah, and Sharp Objects, which
I don't care. I don't care for Sharp Objects.
You didn't like it either?
No, that shit was boring as hell.
Exactly. They spend like 7 episodes just like meandering along, and then the 8th episode, everything is like crammed into 1 hour.
I think,
and none of it holds together.
It was like half an hour fucking shooting of a fucking bedroom. It's like, wow, blue walls, great.
I think they shot that and Widows at the same time.
Yeah, because I think Sharp Objects was on HBO as a miniseries over that summer, and then Widows opened up in November.
I will say this: Sharp Objects has a good soundtrack.
It does.
But I think you are also a little bit more patient than we are.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the I thought that it was very like an acquired taste. Like I could understand why you guys would hate it.
Well, you liked the Ruffalo miniseries too, which I couldn't sit through.
I did.
I barely got through 2 episodes of that, and then I said, "Fuck it, I'm done."
But it's Derek C. and Friends, who I fucking love. So I'm like, I'm biased, I guess.
Well, Jean-Marc Vallée did Sharp Objects, right? And Dallas Buyers Club is great, and Wild is very, very good. Even Demolition is okay. And I know that Susie liked...
Gyllenhaal, right? Demolition?
Yeah. What was the other miniseries? Big Little Lies.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
a great show.
See? But makes the same amount of money.
It's very interesting doing the show with both of you because you're it's a very different type of attention